Hare. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Tira Vanachari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Vyasadeva Bhakta-vrinda. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Vyasadeva Bhakta-vrinda. Shri Vyasadeva Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्रजकाचार्य अष्टवतश्री शिवानी के भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी शिल प्रभुपाद की। ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्रजकाचार्य अष्टवतश्री श्री शिवानी के भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज शिल प्रभुपाद की। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की। नामाचार्य हरिदास ठाकुर की। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की। घनश्राद श्रीमद्भागवतम की। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। This morning we are reading from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 9, entitled as Answers by Citing the Lord's Version. Text number 7. Nishamyatadvaktra didikshaya disho vilokya tatranyat apashyamanaha swadishyanam. What is this? Swadishyanam asthaya vimrishyatadhitam. Vimrishyatadhisham. Swadishyanam asthaya vimrishyatadhitam. Tapasyopadishta ivadedamanaha. Tapasyopadishta ivadedamanaha. Nishamyatadvaktra hidrikshayadisho vilokya tatranyat apashyamanaha. Swadishnamasthaya vimrishyatadhitam. Vimrishyatadhisha tapasupasdita ivadedamanaha. Repeat. Nishamyatadvaktra didikshayadisho vilokya tatranyat apashyamanaha. Swadishyanamastaya vimrishyatadhitam. tapasya upadishta ivadade mana. Nishamya tadvaktra dridikshaya disho vilokya tat anyat apashyamana. Swadishya namasta vinishyata vidam. Swadishya namasta vinishyata tapasya upadishta ivadedamana. Mataji. Nishamya tadvaktra dridikshaya disho vilokya tadanyad apashyamana. Swadishnamastaya vinishyatadhikam tapasya upadishta ivadudamana. What to what? Nishamya, after hearing, tad, that, vaktra, the speaker, tridikshaya, just to find out who spoke, disha, all sides, vilokya, seeing, tatra, there, anyat, any other, apashyamanaha, not to be found, swadishyanam, on his lotus seat, asthaya, sit down, vimrishya, thinking, tad, it, hitam, welfare, tapasi, in penance, upadishtaha, as he was instructed, eva, in pursuance, adheda, gave, manaha, attention. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. When he heard the sound, he tried to find the speaker, searching all sides. But when he was unable to find anyone besides himself, he thought it wise to sit down on his lotus seat firmly and give his attention to the execution of penance as he was instructed. Please repeat after me. When he heard the sound, he tried to find the speaker, searching on all sides. But when he was unable to find anyone besides himself, he thought it wise to sit down on his lotus seat firmly and give his attention to the execution of penance as he was instructed. But to achieve success in life, one should follow the example of Brahma, the first living creature in the beginning of the creation. After being initiated by the Supreme Lord to execute tapasya, he was fixed in his determination to do it. And although he could not find anyone beside himself, he could rightly understand that the sound was transmitted by the Lord himself. Brahma was the only living being at that time, because there was no other creation and none could be found there except himself. In the beginning of the first canto, in the first chapter, first verse of the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, it has already been mentioned that Brahma was initiated by the Lord from within. The Lord is within every living entity as the super soul, and he initiated Brahma because Brahma was willing to receive the initiation. The Lord can similarly initiate everyone who is inclined to have it. As already stated, Brahma is the original spiritual master of the universe. And since he was initiated by the Lord himself, the message of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is coming down by disciplic succession. And in order to receive the real message of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, one should approach the current link or spiritual master in the chain of disciplic succession. After being initiated by the proper spiritual master, in that chain of succession, one could engage himself in the discharge of tapasya, in the execution of devotional service. One should not, however, think himself on the level of Brahma to be initiated directly by the Lord from inside, because in the present age, no one can be accepted to be as pure as Brahma. The post of Brahma to officiate in the creation of the universe is offered to the most pure living being. And unless one is so qualified, one cannot expect to be treated like Brahmaji directly. But one can have the same facility through unalloyed devotee of the Lord, through spiritual instructions, as revealed in the Bhagavad Gita and Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam specially, and also through the bona fide spiritual master available to the sincere soul. The Lord himself appears as a spiritual master to a person who is sincere in heart about serving the Lord. Therefore, the bona fide spiritual master who happens to meet a sincere devotee should be accepted as a most confident, beloved representative of the Lord. If a person is posted under the guidance of such a bona fide spiritual master, it may be accepted without any doubt that the desiring person has achieved the grace of the Lord. Shri Shri Radha Madhav ki, Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maya ki, Shri Gauritai ki, Srila Prabhupada ki. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshushan Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeyam Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadhvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamsha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kankshana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Siti Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Tunyavadi Bhashyate Deshatarine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Can close it. When I came, I was sweating. I came running. Hare Krishna. So I'm very happy to be with all of you. I think this is the chapter going on in Bhiwandi also a few days ago. This same section, I remember I spoke about this a few days ago. So this is a very nice chapter, as every chapter of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Srila Prabhupada mentioned Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is complete. If there is a flood, natural disaster, or even a nuclear bomb blast, and if all the books of the world are destroyed, If all the books and literatures of the world are destroyed, and if only Śrīmad-Bhāgavad and Bhagavatam remains, that is sufficient knowledge for everyone in the human form. Very big statement, no? No one in the history has spoken something like this. And no one will have the courage to speak like this. All the literatures of the world are destroyed. If and only Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam remains, it is sufficient for all human beings to live a very peaceful life, to be educated. You understand? To be educated. And this is such a beautiful verse. This is verse about the first instruction of the creation. It mentions about the first instruction of the creation. It's in the Purport. Srila Prabhupada writes about the bona fide spiritual master and repeatedly emphasizes on following the spiritual master. And apparently, currently, ISKCON is also going through a situation about the spiritual master. Last couple of days, avoid the bona fide spiritual master. So what a coincidence. This verse is there. And it also, in one way, what is mentioned in this verse, if that is followed, I think all the problems will be resolved. The first word which Lord spoke to Brahma, if everyone is busy in that, then all the problems of our movement also will be resolved. What is the first verse? Here it says, he heard the sound. What is the sound? Tapa. 2 words. Tapa. Brahma heard these 2 words and then he was searching. First he came. It is amazing, if you're put in such a situation like Brahma, you don't know what to do. When you read, Brahma was like, he was on a lotus and he just appeared, looking here and there. Nobody is there. First person, he sees around. Arey, kamal ke phul pe baitha hu main. And he goes inside the stem and searches the cause of him, about himself, about the lotus and what is he supposed to do. Inquisitive. Understand? Because he was inquisitive. And then he was searching. He endeavored on his own. By his own endeavor, he could not achieve anything. That is another teaching. By one's own endeavor, one cannot achieve anything. So Brahma, he was endeavoring. He was searching. And then he realized, apne mehnat se kuch nahi hone wala hai. I cannot achieve much by my own endeavor. So let me be calm and sit on my seat, on my lotus seat. Brahma heard the sound. He tried to find the speaker. When he sat calmly within his heart. We hear this in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, many places it comes. Within his heart, he heard the sound ta-pa. He heard the sound ta-pa. And he started contemplating on these instructions. Previously also, the Lord spoke to Brahma in the Srimad-Bhagavatam, 10th canto. Anybody remembers? Anyone remembers that pastime? Sorry? No, Brahma Vimohan. In the beginning only. In the Krishna book, Prabhupada writes in the first chapter. There also Brahma heard, no? Sorry? The Lord is appearing. The Lord is going to appear. That's when all the demigods were distressed, Bhumi took the form. What happened in that pastime? Yes, and then who heard it? Where? Within his heart. That is what I was trying to recall. Even we hear in the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, many places, the Lord reveals in the heart. The Lord reveals in the heart. When the demigods were distressed, Bhumi was very distressed with so much sin. She took a form of a cow and she went to Brahma. She went, all the demigods together went to Shvetadip, right? And there they were praying to the Lord. The Lord did not appear. He appeared, but he was not visible to everyone. He was not visible, but within the heart of Brahma, he gave the message that very soon I'm going to appear and reduce the burden of the earth. Do not worry. So, even that Prabhupada writes in this purport that in the first canto, first verse, first chapter, first verse is also reconfirming Brahma's initiation, right? What is that verse? Janmadhyasya. Loudly. Everyone together. Janmadhyasya. Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavayo Muyanti. Tujovare Vidivaya Vinivaya. Namnati Satyam Param Dhimahi. In this verse also, Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavayo. Prabhupada writes here that Krishna in the beginning only initiates Brahma with the spiritual knowledge within his heart. The word called tapa. So if you see, tapasya is actually very, very, what we call it, default available in the material world. Even for a spiritual seeker, even for a material seeker. Correct or not? It's default. You don't want to or you want to, but you are forced to. You are forced to. But if you accept it voluntarily, then you actually progress materially and spiritually you become realized. Even the materialist, if you see, if athletes at least, and even they work very hard day and night. Any sport you take, anyone who wants to really, there's an echo actually. Anyone who wants to, there's an echo, no? Anyone who wants to progress in any field has to work very hard. Very, very hard. Day and night he has to endeavor. What material education, those who are cracked IIT or NIT, they have to really study day and night, no? Some children from the 9th standard only, they prepare for 10th standard, and in the 10th standard, they prepare for what exam is called? JEE. So in 9th standard vacation only, they are done with 10th standard. In the 10th standard, they are preparing for JEE. It is not so easy. It's a very big hard work, day and night. Day and night, they work hard. And then even businessmen, even Sankirtan devotees, everyone has to work hard. This is the first words of the Supreme Lord. Ta-pa. Anyone who accepts with that authority will actually, when you accept with knowledge, when you accept with authority, and then coming to the spiritual life, Srila Prabhupada here he mentions in the purport, to achieve success in life, the first sentence he writes like this: to achieve success in life, one should follow the example of Brahma, the first living creature. After being initiated by the Supreme Lord to execute tapasya, he was fixed in his determination to do it. Although he could not find anyone beside himself, he could rightly understand the sound was transmitted by the Lord himself. Determination is very, very important in Krishna consciousness. Our determination, our sincerity makes us to follow the right instructions, understand the right instructions. Sincerity of heart. In the purport somewhere, Srila Prabhupada writes one more very important point. Sincere soul, he writes. A spiritual master available to a sincere soul. Sincerity, again, Srila Prabhupada writes here. To a very sincere soul. So to understand this spiritual subject, like Brahmaji, when he did tapasya, you know what happened? We all came into existence. The whole material world came into existence. All beings came into existence. All planet came into existence. And only Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam can explain that. How did the world came into existence? The material scientists, they endeavored. And they are still endeavoring and still speculating. But Srimad-Bhagavatam very accurately it mentions how first the water, air, the whole layer, how one after another creation took place. And then later on Brahma wanted to, like nowadays we have automated system, softwares, automated machines. Brahma also created an automatic system of procreation and made the people further busy in the material world. Those who want to stay in the material and be sufficiently attached in the material world. He created the male and female. He created in every species attraction between the male and female and reproduction. And the creation is, he made it automatic. Hum do, hamare do, chalte raho. He made it like that. So this is, after he contemplated. But if you see, for a sadhaka in Krishna consciousness, the word tapa is very important because sometimes we fell prey. We conclude, it's very, very, when we were new bhakta, now I understand how important it was. Radheshyam Prabhu used to tell that, in ISKCON, once you come, you're a bhakta for a year and Prabhuji for rest of the year, life. You're a bhakta. When you are in a yellow dress, that Tattapu doesn't have also. It is in, Juhu. You are a bhakta for 1.5 year in a yellow dress. And then after that, you are a Prabhuji for rest of the life. So he said, being complacent and going into a comfort zone is very dangerous for a sadhaka. Very, very dangerous for the sadhaka. Because in 1 year's time, you understand the basic philosophy of Krishna consciousness. In another 1-2 years, you get services and you know to preach and you get some department and you are able to deal with devotees. You understand how ISKCON works. You understand what the management is. You understand which Prabhuji sits where at what time, which security sits where at what, when the prasadam comes in, when the prasadam goes out, and it's a public place and donations are coming for the public. And festival time, which is the gate to get in, nobody will see you. You come to know all these things in a couple of years. Correct or not? You come to know everything and you know the basic philosophy, you have the knowledge. And this basic philosophy is so powerful that in the outside world, in the PhD also, you can screw him up. Prabhupada's basic philosophy is such that you can just speak basic philosophy, even the scientist will get a shock of his life. The scientist will get a shock of his life. I remember I had heard one class by Rasaraj Prabhu or someone. I have no science background. And apparently that week, one Westerner had come to visit Juhu temple. Now I was taking him around and I was preaching to him and he was a scientist. And he started getting into a discussion very smartly. He was not a devotee. Very smartly he got into discussion. And then he came to the point I was trying to explain, and I heard about this test tube baby. What we call it? Whatever you call it. And you understood. So, in that, while discussing this, I was trying to explain even for that, even the life is there in the cell, and I was explaining. Then he told me, but we don't need human beings. We don't need a husband and wife for that, to create a life. But I said, but you get the cell You get the cell from the semen. You get cell from a male only. There you depend upon the nature. And then actually, I don't remember technical word, when they create this egg and implant it, there is a electric friction, artificial given. That's when the what we call it. I'm not a very scientifically expert person to explain it, but at that time I heard that class and I repeated. That fellow fainted almost, I was, he was an old man and a scientist. I was just a new bhakta, and I explained him because I just heard 2 days before in a class. And that fellow almost fainted, How I could speak this? How I could speak this? Similarly, I've been not a very good science student, though I took up science, 11th when I was going to the college after the 10th. I never studied science, but even after being admitted. But once I went to preach, so I said, the heart is situated in the soul is situated in the heart. So one very intelligent student asked me, I said, everywhere the soul is situated in the heart. So one very intelligent boy asked me a question. Remember that? I shared that, right? He said, where is the soul in the amoeba? Because amoeba doesn't have a heart. Where is the soul in amoeba? So I got a shock. I said, I'll get back to you. Then I spoke to one of my seniors. He said, the soul is situated in the heart of a human being because the heart is the center point of the human body. It's considered as the center point of the human body. So the soul is situated in the center point of every species, and tell that fellow to find out what is the center point of amoeba. That is where the soul is situated. So I told him this. He understood. Arey bah, kitna intelligent hai. Then he started chanting, that boy. So the point I was trying to make, in our Krishna consciousness movement, it is so beautiful. As I said, this Bhagavatam, Srila Prabhupada's purports, they are sufficient for a person to live in this human form of life in the material world. You don't need to do anything. The world is in need of this knowledge. People of this world are suffering without this knowledge. All what we have to do is, with all their success, with all their prestige, with all their power, with all their education, people in the material world are suffering. They are suffering. And what is the cause of it? Because they don't know the purpose of human form of life. They don't know the process. Even if they know what is the process to achieve that purpose, that is there in the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. If you know that, then as Srila Prabhupada said, you become the assistant. Srila Prabhupada, they say Vishwaguru. You become the assistant. So coming back to the point, when we know this knowledge, we get into preaching, we get into establishing tattva, we get into, as I said, we are very much aware how the temple works. But as I was mentioning, Rai Shampu says that once you become a Prabhu, after that, in ISKCON or any spiritual organization, I would say ISKCON, for all of us, nobody really comes to correct us directly until we volunteer to surrender. You understand? Until you volunteer to surrender, nobody will come to correct you. Nobody will come. Until you volunteer to surrender, nobody will come to correct you. And after a few years, when you establish in the services, and if you're good at your services, then it is more subtle. The Maya's attacks are more subtle. Because we all come with a bag of unfulfilled desires of millions of lifetimes, samskaras from the previous life and samskaras from this life before coming into Krishna consciousness. And they all pop up. They all pop up. Once they pop up, and if you're not situated, properly, in always endeavoring to progress, in one way, tapa, always endeavoring to progress, always contemplating on how I can do my service more nicely, how I can become a better devotee. How does that happen? Two ways. One, always be attached and connected to senior Vaishnavas, the spiritual master, the authorities. And second, always relate ourselves to the lives of acharyas. Always relate ourselves to the lives of our acharyas. What teachings we derive from their lives. What examples they have set. The combination of these two things, if a devotee is along with his sadhana, along with a regular sadhana, if one is doing austerity, tapasya, to do this act, that's when one actually becomes the instrument in the hand of the mission of the spiritual master. Brahma became the instrument in the mission of the Lord, right? He says he was one of the most pure person. Brahma is one of the most purest person. Prabhupada is writing in the purport. By contemplating, taking the decision to sit and contemplate deeply, made him the instrument, gave him the intelligence, and also made him the instrument. Correct or not? It gave him two things, intelligence and instrument. Will it, now let us put ourselves in your situation. Will we sit for 1 day or 2 days? Will we get sufficient intelligence? And will we get sufficient instructions? In 1, 2 day, 3 day, 4 day, 1 year? Will it? It's an ongoing process for rest of the life. It's an ongoing process. And every individual will have his own universe to deal with. And that's where the application of teachings of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes. The devotees of Krishna consciousness movement have a great responsibility to make this world a better place. And that is only possible by following the teachings of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Only by following the teachings of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Spiritual life is very simple. One has to only follow basic sadhana and follow the teachings of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Very simple acts make spiritual life very, very peaceful journey. Like for example, sometime in Krishna consciousness we have difficulties. One of the difficulty which many devotees face, due to what, you know? Sorry? Mobile, okay. Fine. Better than what I am thinking. Okay, let's take mobile. But if mobile was not there, then speech. Our speech. Mind you can control if you are in association or devotees. But our speech makes a big difference. In this world, remember, even a laborer will have an ego. Will have an ego. And if you control the laborer and chastise him, insult him, he will accept that only out of force, circumstance, and no choice. Correct? He will accept. But in his mind, he will abuse you. In his mind, he will abuse you. But Srila Prabhupada is one of the purports, he writes, in this world, people just want to be recognized and loved. If you just speak nicely to people, make them feel they are important. Make them feel they are important. And why a devotee makes an individual feel important? Because he wants to offer him back to Krishna. Just that one simple act makes our spiritual life very, very peaceful. I am just suggesting this because this is also a tapasya. Everyone, once we are perfect devotees, we feel we are so perfect that we can do anything. I remember few days ago there was, I think, disappearance day of Jayananda Prabhu. Right? So, Jayananda Prabhu was so expected. It is said in our movement in the early days, there were 2 or 3 leaders who actually holded most of the devotees. Most of the Srila Prabhupada disciples, they were actually very leaders. I would say the leaders, they were influenced by 3-4 devotees. One was Jayananda Prabhu, second was Vishnujan Swami, and Tamal Krishna Maharaj was also inspired by Vishnujan Swami only. So it is said that they were so absorbed in Srila Prabhupada, his mood. They were very perfect representative of Srila Prabhupada. It is said that once Jayananda Prabhu, when he was making the cart, first Rath, when he was making, so he was alone working hard. In the night he would drive taxi, and in the day he would be busy making the cart. He had only one his wish in his life, to fulfill the desire of Srila Prabhupada. So he was making the cart, and one drunkard came. And he was looking at Jayananda Prabhu up and down, going below the cart, taking the hammer, hitting the nail on the cart and building the cart. So this drunkard, he became very curious. And he was asked in an intoxicated state of mind. He asked Jayananda Prabhu, what are you doing? So he said, I am trying to make a cart. Trying? I said, yeah. He said, you can help me. He said, I can help you? I said, yeah, you can help me. So Jayananda Prabhu gave him a strip to hammer with a nail and to hammer the nail with a nail and a hammer. So this drunkard, he put with some difficulty, he nailed one wood with another wood and nailed it well. So Jayananda Prabhu got up and he saw, and he told him, amazing! In my whole life, I have never seen someone nailing with the hammer, nailing on the cart so accurately and so perfectly. I have never seen someone. The guy stayed there for another 6 hours and nailed everything. And later on he became a devotee. Later on he became a devotee. So this was just example which I just recalled, as already stated, Brahma is the original. After being initiated by the process, by the proper spiritual master in the chain of discipleship, one should engage himself in discharge of tapasya, in the execution of devotional service. See, it's very important here. After being initiated by a proper spiritual master. Few days ago, I had shared in my broadcast, Srila Prabhupada in one place writes about initiation. He says initiation is just the beginning and a formality. The real initiation is that you have accepted in this lifetime to follow the process of devotional service and follow the 4 regulative principles and chant 16 rounds. When you voluntarily accept this, you are already initiated. You are already initiated. Now, how do we relate this to Brahma and ourselves? Very, very simple. Many of us have taken up spiritual life very seriously before being initiated, right? Some of you were not initiated now. Have you surrendered, right? Where is your spiritual master? How did you follow this then? How did you accept it? How did that inspiration come? How did that inspiration come? How did you? First you contemplate, you think, you practice, and you experience. And then you take it up. That taking up is not by force. A preacher can only preach you, give you facilities, encourage you. But taking up is your decision, correct or not? It is your decision. How did you do that? Yes, you are saying something? How did you do that? Sorry? Yeah. What did you? Yeah, that is all fine. You get the knowledge, you get experience, but that decision to become a devotee and practice, how does that come? Huh? Within the heart. Within the heart. Only. Nobody can practice. I can pay you 500 rupees and put you dhoti kurta and tell you to distribute some pamphlets. You will do it for a day or two. But you won't do it for life. This is something which happens in the heart. And that only reciprocation happens when the sadhaka has two aspects. Two aspects. One is tapa and second is sincerity. He does tapasya and he is sincere. If one is sincere, everything, every encouragement to accept any situation, difficult or good, easy, difficult or enjoying any situation, that encouragement comes from the heart. Until it comes from the heart, one will not be situated. All of us who are here cannot experience it, in the sense that cannot explain that experience. It's very difficult. But it's mentioned in the scripture, that is how it happens. That is how it happens. And then, once we show that sincerity, we may not be completely pure. The spiritual master externally manifests. That's called Chaitya Guru. Right? That's called Chaitya Guru or not? The Paramatma within the heart, the Lord within the heart, when he expands himself in a physical form, that's the spiritual master. And of course, then the scriptures further mention Siksha and Diksha Guru. I will not touch that topic. That's a big topic to be itself discussed within ISKCON about Siksha and Diksha. But for sure, ours is a Siksha Parampara. For sure, ours is a Siksha Parampara. So in this verse, Brahmaji is actually, he's showing that he endeavored himself first, and then he stick to two things: being calm and contemplating on the instruction which he has received. And anyone who does that will achieve perfection in spiritual life. It is as simple as that. It is as simple as that. The material world is a very difficult place. Very, very difficult place. It's not a place for a gentleman to live. The biggest mistake one does in the material world is what, Anybody knows? The biggest mistake one does in the material world. Sorry? Adjust, okay? Sense enjoyment, okay? Aham mameti, right? Correct. Remember this. The biggest mistake a person does in the material world, and after being a devotee, is the biggest disaster, is trying to be happy in this material world. Trying to make arrangements to be happy, satisfied, settled and secure in this material world. It's not there. Please try to understand, it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. The only thing what can happen is by following tapasya, by doing tapasya, by doing sadhana, you will have sufficient strength to tolerate the sufferings of the material world with knowledge. Because when you have knowledge, you can relate to it technically. And then when you have tapasya, sadhana, association of devotees, it increases your tolerance to deal with it. To deal with it. But if you're absorbed in Krishna consciousness, then you will be a genuine follower of Srila Prabhupada. Like once a reporter came to Srila Prabhupada and he said, Swamiji, you are speaking about all this Krishna, spiritual world, this, that. But at the end of your life, if you come to know that Krishna doesn't exist, spiritual world doesn't exist, all these scriptures are not true, and at the fag end of your life, if you come to know, then what? And Prabhupada, I guess, was holding a rose. Many photos are like Prabhupada like this, Prabhupada was holding a rose like this, rolling it, he said. Very peacefully said, so what? The person who asked also was shocked. So peacefully rolling a whole rose, he is telling, so what? And then what did he say further? Anyone remembers? Huh? No, Prabhupada said, so what? Krishna consciousness is so blissful. Peaceful, He didn't want it to get into this fool's intelligence only. He said, so what? Krishna consciousness is slow, blissful. And then he told him, if the end of the life you know that spiritual worlds exist and Yamdutas are there, what about you? So that's how Srila Prabhupada was. He didn't try to fix this material world. He just gave Krishna consciousness alternative so that people may make their life perfect and go back home, back to Godhead. So I'll stop here because I have to leave today early. Srila Prabhupada ki, Grantraj Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki. Any questions? Yes, Prabhu. Give him the mic. Whatever. Battery. You can speak loudly. I can come here. Someone can repeat it otherwise. Take this.
Someone is here and practicing devotional services because of the two qualities we discussed, sincerity. So in our movement we see that our people join and they got inspiration and sincerity and they move out also. So why this happened? The sincerity is lacking there. And another question is, can I ask two? So the second question is that you said that trying to be happy in this material world, making arrangements. But in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says in 9.22 that he arranges what is lacking and preserves what he has. So that way he is fulfilling the desires of his devotees. So how do we understand? Although they are not desiring directly, but he is fulfilling it also.
Yeah, so your first question, I'll just respond to that first. Then you remind me the second question again. So many devotees join, they are very sincere. With sincerity they come and they leave also. So what is the reason? They are not sincere or what? Is your question. See, many devotees ask me this question individually also when I am talking to them. Yeah, I'll try to speak a little bit on my personal realization and elaborate on my experiences and what I've heard from my seniors, It is said spiritual life is difficult and material life is a suicide. It is said like this. Spiritual life is difficult, but materialistic lifestyle is like a spiritual suicide. Now, to live with devotees, it's not so easy. Because all are volunteers. They all are in their arrogance that they will go back to Goloka directly. So that's a challenge. In the material, people are in ignorance. They surrender to power. They surrender to beauty. They surrender to money. Devotees don't want all these things. They are in a different arrogance. They are going to go by directly. No Vaikuntha also. They are directly going to Goloka and demigods are going to play music while they go. You know that, no? So they are all in that knowledge. So imagine what you are dealing with. So that's not a normal people. They are very advanced and their desire is all far beyond. Elon Musk is just trying to go to Musk and these guys are directly going to Golok. So try to understand whom you're dealing with first. So they don't want anything below. So they are very hard-headed, strong people. And they are living a very tough life to go to Golok. So those are the kind of people you are actually living with. First thing we should know. Now second thing is that one who joins the mission, many times people told, Prabhupada gave an example. He said that suppose you get admitted in the hospital. You are in an ICU. Okay? And you are in the ICU and there is a person next to you. He is also in the ICU. Okay? Now, the person is too sick actually. He is crying the whole night, vomiting the whole night, because your situation is not as bad as his. You have two options. Tolerate or remove your oxygen pipe and go away, because you cannot tolerate this fellow. What would you choose? जीने मरने की बात आई तो यू विल टॉलरेट, करेक्ट और नॉट? अरे भाड़ में जानते उल्टी मैं क्यों जाऊं, करने दे उसको जो करना है, मुझे जीना है, करेक्ट और नॉट? आई गिव यू अनदर एग्जांपल. सपोज XYZ person is a young man and he does his MBA and he joins his family business. You know, I come from a textile background, so our whole family is into textile. So suppose one joins his family business. Now after joining the business, after a few years, he comes to know that the most loyal people of his father and uncles are cheaters or doing some malpractice. So I have one choice. Why should I waste my time into all these things? I will start my own business. I am an MBA. Or second choice is, this is my family business. The problem is in my house. I will sit here and resolve. What is the better choice? Huh? This is my family business. So those who come with that, no string outside, those who come in. So then Prabhupada gives one more example, that his temples are hospitals. So you got to know you're dealing with patients. Some has more disease, some has less disease. Just a patient is, showing his diseased condition should not be a cause for us to leave the hospital and run away, because we are also patient. So if we have it requires gratitude. It requires gratitude. What Srila Prabhupada has given to us, we cannot pay back to him in this lifetimes and for the lifetimes to come. We cannot give him back for what he has given us. Can we? No. So at least as a gratitude, we should, once dedicated, should continue to dedicate our life to serve his mission. At least that will please him. To please him, we have to tolerate all this. That's the purpose. Anyone who sees himself more important than the association of devotees, he has to go outside and experience what is non-devotees association. It is very important, because humility comes when you are put into a situation. Sometimes, due to our false ego, that humility which is required to understand the value of association of devotees doesn't come in this lifetime. Doesn't come in this lifetime, I've seen. And this life goes into criticizing. It's very dangerous. It's very dangerous. To my life, I opted this option. I opted this option. This is my house, my family business. I have nothing in the outside world. This is my family, whatever it is. I have to sit and resolve things here. Following the teachings of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Actually, humility if practiced, ultimately whatever may be the situation, humility wins. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan mission is all about being humble. Amanina, if you don't want respect and want to only give respect, can there be a situation that you have to leave? No, not possible. And we also have to know that we are coming with our bag of karma. What we are getting is very less. Outside we are going to get more. So, see, these are my own realizations based on my guidance from my seniors, my own observation, and my own contemplation. That is what helped me, because everyone faces this situation. Sometimes due to the mind, sometimes due to relationship, sometimes due to management, sometimes due to opposite sex, sometimes due to attraction, sometimes due to family situation. There could be any reason. Every individual will have his own individual, because we all are individually one universe. You understand? Our whole mind, within our body also there are so many living beings, correct? It's a whole universe. So we will have our own situation to deal with. But the only thing which will help us is sincere gratitude. Very, very sincere gratitude. Then we become a part of a solution. Then disturbing ourselves with the problem. You understood? I choose. When I have several times come to a situation when why should I live? Then I said, no. Where is the place to go? Better place to go. And materially also, if you speak, all our devotees, you ask them what is the cost of tomato, nobody knows. What is the cost of rice, nobody knows. But they will go up now, put their plate, आगे करेंगे plate, ठप गरम rice, dal, sabzi, chapati गिर जाएगा. Correct or not? Anybody knows except the purchase department? Tomato, aloo, rice. So, Srila Prabhupada has made this mission where the whole world can live. Why we should go to the suffering world? Our duty is to bring the world here. Hare Krishna. I hope that answers. Thank you. Yes, Prabhu. Give me.
Prabhuji, Brahmaji has done so much of austerity, created beautiful world, but still he is being, he is criticized by gopis, right? That they are not able to see the Lord because eye blinks. So there is a criticism, so much of austerity and everything is done, and Lord has given everything to him to perform all those things. In the same way, when I feel sometimes that if I'm committed to the sincerity, I struggle more. Why like this happens? Committed to the sincerity, more struggle comes on the way. How to handle this?
See, first part, Brahmaji's criticism. That episode's essence is not Brahmaji getting criticized. The essence is how much the gopis love Krishna. The essence is that. The essence is not that Brahmaji would like to get criticized 1,000 times more if the gopis can take his name. Some way or other. He will feel his life is perfect. That the gopis are remembering him some way or other. That is the depth of that subject. And for us, Prabhupada writes that for a sadhaka, Krishna puts him in such situation that he gives up his material, until he gives up his material attachment. There is one saying, Mufka Chandan Ghis Mere Nandan. Till that the rod Ghisai, till they surrender. ये जगत में घिसते रहना पड़ेगा. Some way or other. I am speaking to you, it's going on with me also. Chaitanya Prabhu knows. It is going on with Chaitanya Prabhu also. I know. We all don't know. And with all of you also it's going on. Chaitanya Prabhu knows that. Or your seniors know that. Some way or other. ये जगत में घिसाई चाहो या ना चाहो. Krishna is stamping this material world. Dukkhalayam ashashvatam. How can Krishna's word be not true? Yeah, so the second question was that Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, he fulfills a devotee what he is short of, Ye yata mam prapadyante also one word. I give what is required. But you see, for every individual, the Lord gives and takes away also. The Lord and his devotee, This is always going on. First the Lord gives, as long as He is sure He will stay. Once He is sure He will stay, He takes away. Then again He feels that He will go, then He gives something. Then again, that's when the Lord directly takes care. That's how it is said that Yoga Maya functions in the life of a devotee. It takes them to the devotees. To the devotees, it takes them to a spiritual master. This journey of inspiration and sadhana of a sadhaka will go on. But parallelly, the process of purification will also go on. It may appear the Lord is giving, but only the one who is getting knows what he is taking. You understand? It appears that Lord is giving, but only one who is going through knows the Lord is also sufficiently taking. Correct or not? I was an instrument to get this temple, but I know to run the temple what I have to go through. So it's like that. I hope that answers. Srila Prabhupada ki, Granth Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki.
Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Padakamalam Sri Guru Vaishnavanscha